Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is the real pastor, the true pastor, bringing you financial matters with Pastor Devin Miller. It's a new segment of Clear Faith Christian Ministries where we will be coming on over the next several Wednesdays at around this time, 4 p.m. Central Time, to talk about financial matters in the sense of financial freedom. Our guest will be, and kind of our instructor will be Holger Spiwak from Michigan, who is a part of the Starfish organization. And he's going to be kind of walking us through the who's, what's, where's, and why's of financial freedom through their process. And you might ask, well, what's the church got to do with financial matters? Well, in order for the church to function, it takes money, right? And if you don't have any money, the church may not function. Not from a gimme perspective, but from a practical perspective of keeping the lights on, taking care of those who work within the church, and those type of things. But if your personal finances are not well, then it's not going to be healthy for the church. And so I thought it would be important to have this series every Wednesday for the month of June. We're going to be talking about a little bit about the Starfish program, why it's important, how it works. And then you'll be able to make a righteous decision based on information. If you don't know me by now, everything we do in our Bible study, in our Q&A with Pastor D on TikTok and on YouTube is about giving you the tips and tools and information you need to make righteous decisions in life. And part of life is finances. So Holger is in the green room right now. And let me tell you a little bit about him. He has 3 master's degrees, including an MBA from one of the top 25 business schools. He is now, based on the program that he's been working in and facilitating, he is now job optional, as he puts it, and financially free, and has been that way for over 22 years. And he is happily married with 7 children. And his wife is a stay-at-home mom. So I don't get anybody that doesn't know how to gain financial freedom. I get someone that has been there, done that, and has the information to give out. So with that, I'm going to bring Holger on, and let's welcome Holger to the platform.
All right.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I can't complain for an old man.
Well, it's all relative, right?
Exactly. Well, I've given your introduction, and if you want to add anything more to that, you can, that you sent me. But more importantly, we can get right into it based on what we had talked about the last time we were on, which is, the importance to me. Well, the question to me is, why at this stage of life, meaning with the way the economy is, the way people are spending, the cuts that are impending coming from the government, why is it important now to have a conversation about financial matters and, more importantly, financial freedom?
Yeah, amen. Thanks for the nice introduction, Pastor. I really appreciate you, and I mean, we've connected through LinkedIn a couple of years ago, and I really feel like God made a connection intentionally. There's no accidents in God's kingdom.
That's
I
right.
just admire your heart for God. Your outreach with missions into Africa, and that you really truly just want to make a difference. And I love that. And you're living the life that God has called you to live, and you're doing it with the best you can. I wish there was more people. Right, especially in the Christian church, there would be more people living out their God-given potential.
Right.
I mean, my daughter had a awards dinner yesterday. She's graduating this year, and so there was like for the high honor roll students lunch, and a director of our district, he talked about, that it really inspired or compelled people to live out their purpose, have a purpose, know what your purpose is. My friend Oren said one time, the two most important days in your life is one, the day you're born, two, the day you find out why you're born.
Right.
Because everybody's born for a reason, right? And so to me, that life is about not just about, working for 50 years or whatever, and then get to death and retirement safely, and then, just be here and whatever, no, we're supposed to make an impact.
Right.
You know what I mean? And how many people, you guys know some people that are not using all their God-given potential or God-given talents. It's super sad, it's, especially as Christians, we should know our obligation, our stewardship with our time and our talents that we have, the talents God has given us, his gift to us. What we do with those things, our gift back to him.
Right.
And so I was just fortunate, the path I was on, I was not I was not a Christian, I became a Christian in 2001. So for most of my life still, I was an atheist, right? And kind of lived a very worldly life, and grew up in Germany. And I wanted to live the high life. I wanted to drive fast cars, travel the world, and like most people, and with that, I pursued that path of higher education, right? Because everybody else, to succeed in life, you got to go to school, get good grades, get a good job, work hard. Okay,
and that's it. Yeah,
I'll take care of that part, and then I became an engineer, and there I was as an engineer. I was doing pretty good, but I wasn't even close to where I wanted to be, right? So through a friend of mine, long story short, back in 1999, I met my now two good friends and Christian business partners, Oren Wilbert and Chris Brady, who had been engineers at General Motors, but they left their jobs in their late 20s and had retired financially free. That inspired me because they had time and money. I was like, man, I'd love to have time and money, and so now the concept that they had back then was very different what we have now, but the principle was still really the same as the Starfish platform is to succeed in life, learn from successful people.
Right.
And I never thought about that, right? I was like, my whole life, I realize now looking back, I was getting financial advice from broke people.
Right.
I was doing really well. I'm like, no wonder I'm not getting anywhere. All these people because how many people have an opinion?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has an opinion.
Everybody, right.
All it takes to have an opinion is a mouth that works and a brain that doesn't.
There it is. Right.
If 1,000 people stand up and say something stupid, it's still stupid.
Mm-hmm. No matter how you say it.
And so anyway, when I met Oren and Chris, I was 32 years old, and they had time and money. I was like, I'd love to have time and money, right? So the whole idea is that they had a system for success. But anyway, that's what Starfish is, right? So Starfish is really, the big picture is a system to help people succeed. Okay. Now, there's a big purpose behind this. I love the fact that we're not just involved in some business, that tries to make some money, whatever. Yes, that's part of it, but the bigger purpose, Oren and Chris are way beyond financially free. Both these guys are now New York Times best-selling authors. They've written New York Times best-selling books. Inc. magazine a couple of years back published a list of the top 50 leadership and management experts in the whole world. Out of all 8 billion people, the top 50, right? And both these guys that I met 20 years ago or 25 years ago, I'm the top 50, which is unheard of. Our company is called Life, and we're the only company in the world that has 2 of the top 50 leadership experts, right? Wow. Facebook doesn't have that. Amazon doesn't have that. Nobody has that. So I was just fortunate enough to meet some really smart guys, and I've been hanging on to their coattails for the last so many years.
Right.
And I've been very blessed, and so now the idea is, because they're way beyond making money to be motivated by, they're really motivated by making this world a better place, right? Yeah. And I think all of us, we can look into this world and see lots of problems, right? There's wars and economic issues and hunger in Africa and all this stuff. And it seems like it's all these things, and they seem not related, right?
Right.
But when you read into the financial system, and I've done research now for 15 years, my friend Oren just finished his book Insidious, that just came out, and like that's a big part of what we do is educating people what the financial system is really doing.
Right.
And how it's not what everybody thinks, the Republicans against the Democrats, the blacks against the whites. No, right. It's not the financial system against all of us because that's all money.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? And so really the big purpose of what we're doing is we want to restore financial justice, right? And take back literally trillions of dollars that have been taken from all of us, right? again, no matter what side of the political aisle you're on, what you believe in, none of us. And they've taken money from everybody. And so what we're doing is education, right? It's number one. And number two is then we want to give people the tools so they can help us, right? That's what we're calling ourselves the consumer rebellion, right? When we understand what the scam is doing, we can do something about it. It's just like in the movie The Matrix, when Neo finally figured out how the Matrix works. There's this one scene where all of a sudden he sees all the code, right? And all of a sudden, once he understood the Matrix, how it worked, he could fight it.
Right.
That's the idea, right? And so that said, really, can I do a screen share? Is that?
Yeah, go ahead. You're good.
Let me see here. Well, how would I?
You should be able to share it on yours.
Slides. Share screen. Here we go. Okay. Share screen. Tab. Okay. Chrome tab. Yeah. All right. Share. Select. Okay. It says share to window. All right. Let's do this. Nope. Okay. Technology is great when it works, isn't it?
Right.
All right. I think this one here. Let's try this one. This is my email pulled up, but no, I want to actually. All right, let's go here. Let me pull this up a minute. Sorry. 1 second.
No worries. There we go.
Okay. So let's look at this. So this is kind of where we're at. Okay. So our current financial situation, everybody has a spot in life where you're at right now. So that imagine this is where you are right now. The money that you have in the bank, the debt that you have, and most people have some goals in life, right? We call that the life you always wanted to live is where you want to be, right? Financial freedom, more traveling, giving more to church and charity, having a nicer lifestyle, doing some nice, pastors able to go to Africa and help some people out there, but most people can't afford that, right? Be in a position where you can do things that you want to do and have the time and money to do it, right? And so a lot of people work hard at achieving that success that they want. But the problem is that most people don't realize there's this financial system in the middle that through debt and fees and inflation and taxation, right, takes most of our productive effort, right? And so, in fact, again, it affects everybody. The Insidious books talks about all that stuff, how that works, and the key thing is most people don't realize why they're spinning their wheels, right? Has anybody ever seen a hamster on a wheel? That's right. Running like crazy, super busy, but can't get anywhere. The hamster's very busy. He's not making any progress. Right. And so it's because of this right here. Like Warren said a while back, if it wasn't for what now listen to this. If it wasn't for what the financial system is doing and has been doing for the last hundreds of years, everybody in the United States will be 5 times wealthier. Now you think about this, right? Put yourself, all of a sudden you make 5 tons of money or 5 tons of wealth, would your life be a little different, right? Could you do some of these things? Right. And most likely you could, right? And so the key thing is, while we can't do anything about what the financial system is doing per se, right? But we can give people another option, right? And so basically what Starfish really represents, besides a great way to make payments and get rid of the credit cards, it's really a way out. Okay. It's a way to get from where you are right now to go around the financial system and still achieve the goals that you have. Right. Okay. That makes sense? Yep. And so, again, looking at the purpose of Starfish, how has Starfish made a difference in general before we get into the weeds? If I came up to you and said I want financial freedom and you said I got Starfish, what is it about Starfish that's different from any other financial freedom guru trying to teach me how to spend my money better? Yeah. It gives people the results, right? Okay. The tools to get results, right? I mean, my life is completely transformed because I've been around this community, right? For the last 25 years, right? And if you want to truly change your mind, the Bible says be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Correct. Right? Correct. Yeah. And so it starts with different thinking, which comes from different information. Okay. Right? And that's really what it is. Starfish provides you access to a whole platform, a whole portal, and a community of people that think differently, right? That don't think, well, everybody else is in debt, so it's okay. I'll just in debt. No. Yeah. What's the Bible say, right? The borrower are slave to the lender, right? And so the financial system is based on the debt creation, right? Anytime somebody gets in debt, right, the system can do what it does and more. Right. And so when you think about it, where does the debt cycle start? Well, my oldest is 20. My second oldest is about to turn 18 here very soon. Well, guess what kids get in the mail once they start turning 18? Credit card applications. Yeah. Right. And it's just like a drug dealer, right? When you I've never done drugs, but from what I understand the way it works, right? They give you a little hit for free, right? Here, take it. It's all. And then you try. Oh, that's pretty good. Here's some more. You get it for free the first couple of times until they get you hooked. Right. And then all of a sudden, now you got to pay the money, right? So now they got you. You're hooked to this whole stuff, right? Yeah. That is the same way, right? Okay. They give kids a credit card. Here, just buy some stuff. Don't worry about paying it back this month. Just make minimum payments. Oh, this is great. I can buy, some flowers and some candy and some cinema tickets and food, whatever. And they acquire a little bit of a balance. No big deal. I keep up with it. And then it's a little more. And then it's a little more. And all of a sudden they have $1,000 in their credit card, right? And then people need a car. Well, I don't have money, so they get a car loan, right? And then they got to go to college, and then they get a student loan, and then they get married and need a house, and then they get a mortgage, right? And all of a sudden, they're in debt for the rest of their life. The whole system relies on people getting into debt, right? Where does the cycle start? It starts with the credit cards, right? And so what Oren and Chris have figured out with this platform, with Starfish, we can now make an electronic payment and make it and transfer money electronically, right? Without the credit card system being involved. It's the first and only way right now. When you look at all these other platforms of Venmo and Cash App and PayPal, they all use the credit card system. And every time the credit card system is used, there's fees being generated, which guess who pays those fees? We, the people, right? The consumer, the merchant. Amazon doesn't pay the fees. They roll them into the price. Right. Walmart doesn't pay the fees. They roll them into the price. We pay for everything. The gas stations, right? Right. And so with Starfish, it's kind of like when the turn of the 19th century, they came up with the automobile. Right? I was using horse and buggies, right? Right. Somebody came up with the automobile, even though in the beginning only the rich people could afford it, right? Because Ford made the production line, all of a sudden it was just a better system than the horse and buggy. Right? It doesn't poop all over the place. You don't have to feed it. You just put gas in it once. Right. It was a better system. And what did the people do? Everybody changed to the new system. Right. And so with Starfish, it's the same thing. Again, we're just kind of in the initial phases. So it's not perfect yet. But it's a better system. Why? Because it saves the merchants fees and it gives the people cash back. And guess who loses? The credit cards. The credit cards, right. And so it just makes sense. I think it's literally a platform, I'll show you that in a minute, that puts money back into your pocket. Look, Benjamin Franklin said, $1 saved is $1 earned. Right? And so, there's month where we save ourselves $30, $40, $50 on things we would buy anyways, and it's like it's money in my pocket that I can now use anywhere else. Right. You know what I mean?
Okay. So for the person that may be hearing this or seeing this and says, okay, is this just another way of the top gets rich and the bottom don't get nothing? Is it an MLM money market thing, where I got to go out and find 50 people and convince them to buy this Starfish and then I get paid? What's the right now benefit of Starfish versus any other type of program or program to save money and to make money?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different angles, right? So the first angle, the very simple, is Starfish is $60 per year subscription, right? That's the basic subscription. And if you can, and this is super simple to do, if you generate at least $100 worth of gift cards at Amazon, Walmart, any of the other 100 national brands, you literally get $5 a month back. So if within 12 months, you can earn your subscription money back. So literally you get the platform for free, right? In fact, if you generate $300 of gift cards, they give you $10 back on top of the cash back that you earn already, right? So on top of the cash back, you get $5 or $10 back, depending on if you have $100 or $300 in credit cards or gift cards generated. So it literally puts money back into your pocket, right? Now, because it is direct sales, right, we don't advertise on Facebook or on billboards or have the NASCAR going around the track with starfish on it, right?
Right.
Because when you think about it, when I was at Purdue, getting my MBA, one of the classes I took, marketing, talked about how advertising is such a high expense. Like when Tide sell or Procter & Gamble sells Tide laundry detergent, right? The price that you pay for Tide, I think over 60% of the price that you pay, they put right back into advertising.
Right.
Right. And so when you ask marketing experts, they tell you word of mouth is the best way to advertise, right? Mm-hmm. It's you like something and you tell your friends about it, right? And so there's a direct sales model behind this. So there is an opportunity for people, if they so choose, if they like the product, right? They can become a business owner and make money, generate income by helping their friends save money.
Right.
Okay. I'm like, so where's the catch? Well, there's no catch. Like you literally make money by helping your friends save money. It's a win-win. Mm-hmm. The credit cards lose.
Sure. So on average, if you do know this number, about how much money in the regular system we have now, how much is the average consumer or overall losing to the credit card fees and all of that?
Well, I know statistically, I think in the last year, credit card companies between fees they charge merchants like Amazon, Walmart, and so on, right? Mm-hmm. And late fees they charge us directly and interest payments, they made over $300 billion in profits.
Wow.
It's a $300 billion industry, right, that we're tapping into, that we can basically, again, what we're doing, we're not taking anything from them, we're just deciding not to participate anymore.
Right.
We're not giving them money. I mean, we found a better way. Sorry, you can keep playing this game, but we're helping. We found the automobile over here.
Right. Okay.
And so, I mean, there's thousands of dollars, like one of the slides actually had statistics that shows like how much the average American pays in fees and what the average merchant pays. So it's thousands of dollars per person. Yeah. Literally, I think what the credit cards companies make is the equivalent of 5 million Americans with an average income.
Wow.
That's their profits. I mean, that's how much profits they make. You take 5 million families and their income, that adds up to the profits that these credit card companies make.
Right. And from your experience as well as teaching others, while it sounds like a no-brainer, what is oftentimes the disconnect from people seeing the process or understanding the process and actually working the process?
Okay, so good question. Obviously, it's new, right? So it's a little different way. It's a different way to pay, right? So when I go to the store, Walmart or Amazon, right? Instead of pulling out my credit card, I'm going to go on my platform. I can show you actually how that works, right? You can go on your phone, right? And then I select the merchant and I type in, I select Amazon or Walmart or which merchant I'm at. And I have to type in the amount of money I want to have, right? So if I'm at Subway and I buy a sandwich at $7, right? Then I'll just go to Subway, type in $7, make a Subway gift card. So I'm buying a gift card from Subway for the exact amount of money that I need.
Okay.
Right? And then my phone connects with a Subway server, creates an electronic gift card that pops up on my phone, and then I pay with the gift card. Many times there's a QR code or a barcode there. They can just scan it, right? Or maybe I check out online. I have to put in the gift card number, copy and paste. So it's a little more, it's different, first of all, right? To answer your question, it's a new process. People have to learn how to use it. It's very simple, but it's a new process. So sometimes we have to teach people about how to do it. But once you get it, it's very simple.
Right. Okay. So how on an average, well, no, let me go back. I had another question. When you look at the debt that people get into using credit cards and the society that says we're moving to a cashless society, it's like you said, moving from the horse buggy to the car. If I'm used to the horse buggy, and now you're trying to get me to drive a car, what's my, outside of making, getting cash back, what's my incentive to change the system?
Yeah, I mean, one, you save yourself money.
Okay.
That's for everybody that uses Starfish, whether you're a customer or actually become a member and want to generate income, right? Then you save yourself money on things you're already buying anyways, right?
Okay.
And so there's also an educational aspect of Starfish, which it doesn't get talked about a whole lot. But again, when you look at your finances, right, there's a couple of components. One is your financial defense, right? And you have to learn how to keep more of the money that you're making. Because how many of you guys know people that spend more than they make, and that's how they get in trouble to begin with?
Right.
So we have to have financial defense. So keep off the money that we make. So if we have a platform that helps people save money, it helps with financial defense.
Okay.
Right. But just like when I play a football game, if I just play defense, how many games will I win?
Absolutely none.
I'm not going to win all games, right? I need to have some offense. Well, what's offense in financial terms? Well, in offense in financially means investing in the greatest asset God has given us, which is this right here.
Okay.
Right? Again, how many people are not using all their God-given talents?
Right.
So the other big part, in my mind, even the more valuable part of Starfish is there's a whole library of podcasts. So like I already talked about Warren and Chris, how they are New York. They've read thousands of books. They're both New York Times bestselling authors, Inc. magazine, top 50 leadership acts. They know a lot about a lot. They're not perfect. They're Christians, so they know they're sinners, saved by grace.
Mm-hmm.
They know that, but they're really, really smart, right? And they have achieved a lot in the leadership field, people development, all these kind of areas. And so this whole library of podcasts is part of Starfish that you can plug into. You can short 15, 20-minute podcasts, learn success principles in economics, in finances, in history, people skills, leadership, right? All these areas that most people can still learn a little bit.
Right.
What we see all the time, Pastor Devin, is when people start learning from these, they turn off the Facebook and watching cat videos, right? And they get different information in here that actually helps them develop, right? All of a sudden, when they become a better person in their job, the boss all of a sudden notices, right? And all of a sudden, when they start working on themselves, you distinguish yourself from the average person, and all of a sudden, you might get a promotion in your job, or maybe get a pay raise that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise, right? How many people don't want to make more in their profession?
Right.
If you have a business, you expand your horizon. John Maxwell says in the 21 Laws of Leadership, right? Chapter 1, the law of the lid, right? That your lid is the lid on your business, your thinking, right? And so do you think about it, for $60 a year, it's a little cheaper than going to college. Just a little bit, right?
Right.
You get over 170 podcasts from these top leadership experts. They teach you all these success principles in all these different fields, right? So Starfish, I love that principle that, yes, it's great, but you will never save your way to success.
Right.
When you make $100,000 a year, no matter how good a deal you get on everything, you use Starfish, you clip coupons, you do everything you can to get the cheapest deal, you still make $100,000.
Right.
Right? But when you invest in this is unlimited.
Right. Okay.
Right.
So what you're really, for lack of a better word, what we're trying to promote is not just saving money by using a system, but it's really about changing and transforming your thought process as to how you see money and what money can actually do for you.
Yeah. And what the power in you, right?
Right.
Empower people, right, to not limit their thinking on what somebody else is telling them, right? Yeah. And so, change their life. So that's why I said it's financial defense and financial offense, right? And there's a lot about the playing field, which, that's kind of the subject, right? The playing field is the financial system that most people don't understand.
Right.
Well, look back 2008, right? There were people that were good financial defense. They had, didn't have any debt. They had money in their 401ks. Yet they lost a lot or everything sometimes because they didn't understand the financial system.
Right.
And those workings. Right. So you really have to have a holistic picture of the financial defense, financial offense, and the playing field of finances so you can maximize your protection and preparedness for whatever's happening.
Sure. Okay. All right. Well, I think on that note, we're going to stop it right there because when we come back next week, we want to get into the weeds of actually how to make this system work. Because I think, as I said in the intro, it's financial freedom, but it's also financial education.
Amen.
And in order to really change, you have to answer the question why. Not just why do you want me to change, but why is it important for me to change?
Yeah.
And I think what we covered today is that, we have been getting, unbeknownst to us, we have been paying fees and feeding into a system that does not feed back. And no matter how many 3% back or 5% back that they offer, that's eaten up in the fees that you pay out. So you never really see the benefit of your money, no matter how many credit cards come across your way and say, oh, if you do this, we'll give you this. Well, when you get it, you've already paid 3 times in fees. So when you get it, it's like, what did I get? And the other part that I hear us talking about is, in a sense, delayed gratification. A lot of times the credit card gives us that instant gratification, but in a sense, we're actually desensitized, or there's a disincentive because of the fees. So while I may be able to pay this real quick, when it comes to paying the bill, I'm paying not only what I paid, but more.
Yeah.
So I'm actually losing every time I use the card. But with Starfish, I'm basically cutting out the middleman. And right. I become the benefactor of my purchase.
That's right.
At every hand of where I purchase. So with that, let me ask this last question. Purchasing. Now, typically, when you hear of these type of programs, it's like you can only purchase at these places, and then you get this type of payback. Starfish is not that way. So because it's the gift card process. So give me a little snippet, and we'll get deeper into it on our next show. But give me just an overall view of how many stores I'm able to purchase from by using this process.
Yeah, I could go through the list if you want me to, but we have over 600 national brands. Look at that: Amazon, Walmart, Target, Subway, Applebee's, BW3s.
So most of your major stores.
Most of the major stores. There's some local one, but again, let's launch this a couple of years ago. So I think at some point in the future we'll probably have every point of sale, and so many meaning any place where they accept a credit card, right?
Right.
Imagine the bigger this community becomes, the more effective this works, right? And eventually the goal is to have it everywhere, right? To really completely replace the credit card system, that you can go anywhere, your little mom and pop shop in your town, right? You pull out your Starfish, you make a gift card for that store. You help us, right? Because the big picture, guys, is this: if the system continues the way it is, things will only get worse.
Right.
On Oren's book here, right? This actually shows between 1960 and 2024 or 2020, I think, the supply of money in circulation, right? So there's already since the 60s steady increase, but this is 2008.
Right.
They multiplied the money supply by many, many times, right? And then 2020, what happened there? Another crisis, right? Yeah. Which really was just a cover up for the fact that the financial system was falling apart. They needed to create all this additional money, inflation out of nothing.
Right.
Yeah. Right. If I can share this one example with inflation, I told you that before. But imagine, I'll talk about Pastor Devin. I'll talk to one of you. So imagine Pastor Devin had a grandfather, right? And this grandfather maybe was born in 1935 or whatever. He worked his whole life. Right, and he saved up heart, sweat, and tears. He saved up $100,000 by 1971. In 1971, he went to Pastor Devin's mom and said, "Hey, I want this money to go to my grandson, but I want you to wait until 2021, 50 years,
right,
until you give him this money." Right, and so Pastor Devin knows nothing about this, but in 2021, your birthday happens, right? Your mom comes to you, "Hey, this is from Grandpa. He saved this. He gave this to me 50 years ago. He wanted you to have this money right now." She gives you this big envelope with $100,000 physical dollars that your grandpa saved up, right, under the mattress.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Wow, $100,000. This is awesome. I'm going to buy myself a new Cadillac. What a great birthday present." And it sounds cool. Here's the problem with that story. In 1971, Pastor Devin's grandfather could have bought 10 of those cars, for the same money.
Right.
So literally in the last 50 years, the financial system has stolen 90% of Pastor Devin's grandfather's productive capacity.
Yeah.
And it don't matter if you're black or white. It don't matter, right? They take from everybody.
Yeah.
And you think about it, if you take money from everybody, there's one thing that you don't want to happen. It's for the people to find out.
Right.
So what do? Well, because you have money to buy the media, you can buy politicians on both sides of the aisles, you can buy generals, right? And now you create all this division where you get this group of people to fight against this group of people and this group of people against this group of people. You guys see any division in this country? You see any division in this world?
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not coincidental. It's intentional. They want us to, because when we're so busy fighting each other, the blacks against the whites, the Republicans against the Democrats, if we're so busy fighting each other, we don't have time to catch on the scam that pulling on all of us.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? So that, again, that's the big purpose, right? Because see, now every time somebody uses Starfish, whether it's a grandma that's 93 years old, doesn't build a business at all, she just uses it as a customer. And she is using Starfish, and it's one little hit against the financial system.
Right.
And eventually it's going to be death by a million cuts or more.
Right.
That's it. And so everybody helps. Everybody can be part of consumer rebellion and help us make a difference. Yeah. Everybody counts. Everybody counts. Whether you're just using it as a customer, getting cash back at Amazon, Walmart, Applebee's, and so on, or you build it, help us build a big business, and you make a lot of money. Better yet, right? Everybody counts. And to me, like, again, I know that God connected us for a reason, right? And I just love Pastor Dave. I love your heart, right? You're a man of character and integrity, and you told me, like, I'm just connecting people, right? Like, he has no personal benefit in this whole thing. He's like, no, I just want to connect people. Yeah, and I so appreciate that you giving off your time, right? You giving off your resources, that you giving me access to some people that you're connected with, and I appreciate that. I say thank you, right? And I know God is in control. I trust God has a plan for the future, right? And I know God is, it's good, right? Romans 8:28 is one of my favorite verses, right? Yep. So God makes all things work together for good to them that love him, that are called according to his purposes. Well, not some things, not most things, but all things.
Right. Well, I think that's the note we can end on right there, is that, all things work together for good. And there's a reason why the society is the way it is. And one of the things I tell people lately is there's not a whole lot of dependency that we can do on the government. There's not a whole lot of dependency that we can do, on a national, state, local level, because it's all tied to finances. This big, beautiful bill that Trump is trying to promote is going to affect all of us in one way or another. Yep. And if we don't collaborate, if we don't communicate, if we don't collectively bring our minds together on a financial plane, we're going to suffer. And that suffer, like we've been saying, is not Democratic suffering, Republican suffering. It's anybody that's got any kind of money is going to suffer. And all of us got something. And what we're trying to promote here over the next few weeks is how you can change and transform what you have. It's not necessarily about building and getting rich in 30 days and all that other stuff that people got out there. This is about shifting how you spend so that you can benefit from your spending. And whether you go become a customer, just use the system, or you become a person that wants to build a community of your own that uses this, that's up to you. But all I'm here to do is give you the tools and the explanation so that you can make a righteous decision at the end. So again, thanks to Holger for coming through on today. We'll be back next week at 4:00, and we're going to get into the how-tos. Get a little bit deeper into the conversation of what Starfish is, what the community is. I know Holger has sent me a podcast to listen to, and they're very informative, and they help you move the needle of your own life. And that's really what we're talking about. If we're going to, as Christians, believers, if we're going to continue to pray the prayer that says, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, then we have to understand that a kingdom is a community. And it's a community that operates differently than what the world system is, because we know we're not of this world. We're just passing through. So this is a way for us to pass through in a better way than what we have learned in the past. And so tune in to us next week, 4 o'clock Central Time, 5 o'clock Eastern. And we will definitely continue the conversation of how the Starfish community can help us build not only financial community and financial freedom, but it can also help us build the kingdom that God always intended us to build. And that is to help each other and not have any debt. Because again, the scripture said that they brought what they had and spread it amongst the people, and no one was without lack. And so that's what we're trying to demonstrate in these financial matters conversations. And so again, thank you for watching. Tell somebody else, tell 3 people to tune in next week at 4 o'clock, and we're going to continue the conversation. And if you have questions, we have the ability to ask. You have the ability to ask questions on YouTube. Just type them in the chat, and then I can pull those questions onto the screen so that Holger can answer how you need to know. Because it's not just how we know. We got to make sure that you know what's going on so that we can build this community. Any final thoughts, Holger, before we close out?
No, I can't wait to see what God's going to do.
Exactly.
I
So
feel
again,
like God is, things are happening, right? I mean, it's God's people need to rise up and be the light, be different, right? And so that's what this is all about, to be different.
That's it. We're already a peculiar people, so we might as well be peculiar in this as well. So again, my thanks to you. We'll be back next week, 4 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. Eastern, to continue to have conversation about financial matters, because finances matter. All right. Until next time, may God's richest and greatest blessings be yours. Peace. Thanks, Holger.
Amen. Have a good day.